Hello and welcome back to the Official Saracen. Today we're going to be talking about the Trial of the Seven from Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And I've already seen some other videos talking about this, namely Matt Easton's video, as well as Robin Swords' video. So we're not really going to be talking too much about the HEMA aspect. I mean, I do practice HEMA myself, but when it comes up, I'll talk about it. But otherwise, we're going to be talking about sort of the battlefield, uh, how battlefield valid is this? Because that goes more into my field, which is historical combat in usage in the battlefield, right? So, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, so let me just start this off right here. Okay, so we're starting off with Dunk having already been knocked off his horse. So, boom, right there, we have two swings by Arian and then a swing by Maykar. Okay, so right off the bat, we have Dunk really not having a good time right now. But those swings from Arian, I mean, they're just standard swings. You know, he's not doing anything too special with it. It's just he has a flail. All right, he really can't do too much interesting finesse stuff with a flail. It's just you have a stick in your hand that has a ball at the end of it, and you just whack the other guy, right? I mean, it's as simple as that. So, not really too much to talk about there, except for the fact that he got hit in the head, and yeah, that's not a fun time. Uh, I've seen people doing longsword get concussed, which is why I don't do longsword. It's because of that. I don't want to have a concussion. Yeah, I don't want that. But if you do that, that's your prerogative. But Dunk probably has a concussion. I'm not a medical expert or anything, but he's not doing too well. Anyways. Alright. Okay, that was cool. So, it looks like Baylor knocked Maykar off his horse. And he did that using a lance. So he had his lance still, and he just used that as a pole arm to knock his brother off his horse. That's a real technique. Yeah, you actually see that in a lot of historical manuscripts, and it's really fun. It's really cool. But yeah, I mean, not too much to say about that. We'll really get into it in a little bit. But yeah, let's just keep going. All right. Okay. So with the swings that were given by Arian, it's not uncontrolled. He knows what he's doing, but it's still a blunt weapon. You know, it's going to still feel like a blunt weapon. You know, when you hit someone, when you do these consecutive swings, it's a blunt weapon. There's not too much finesse with a mace, or not with a mace. Sorry, with a flail. Let's keep going. All right, now we can see the overall melee. Yes. Okay, now we're getting into the takedowns. All right, and this is the bread and butter of nightly combat, or rather, the end of a combat session. You know, so actually, we see this happening in the Battle of Agincourt, where you have English longbowmen who are not particularly well armored, just grapple with these French knights and just drown them in the mud. That's what we're seeing here. We're gonna keep going. Yeah, they're just on the ground fighting. It's a grapple, and Dunk is particularly good at this because he is from Flea Bottom, if you guys don't know, which is the slums of King's Landing. All right. Yes, this is perfect. Okay, so Dunk is slamming Arian's head against the ground. He's trying to get a concussion. He's trying to, use his own helmet against him. And we're actually seeing from Arian's helmet, because it has those like weird spikes in the back. In fact, let's look at this, for example, this helmet right here. It has such a heavy top piece that any force that comes up here is going straight into the neck right there, into the neck. You see that? That's what's happening. Okay? So Dunk is trying to utilize that. It's and it's a valid technique. It works. Let's keep going. Let's see what happens. All right. Okay. That's very important. Oh, we're not gonna. I stopped at a specific frame, but we're gonna talk about that in just a second. But Arian is using his shield. In fact, the side of his shield, which is not sharpened or anything like that, but it's still like I have a shield right here. Let me actually show you guys. Let me take this one down. I probably not will put it back up, but look. Sorry about that. Look, this is a very thin point of contact. Okay, this hitting against an enemy is not going to be a fun time for them, and that's what Aryan is doing. It makes sense. It's a martially valid technique. Basically, you're going to hear me say that a lot. A lot of the techniques here are going to be martially valid. All right, let me. Okay, I guess that's good enough. But actually, in this frame, we see that Aryan has drawn his dagger, and that's really what I want to talk about. Okay. Yes. Let's see if we can get a better angle. Okay. I kind of missed that angle, but let me try to go back and see if we can find a really nice angle of that dagger, because that dagger is very important. It's a very unique style of dagger. And let me just keep going. Let me just keep going. There. Okay. You can't see it too well, but actually, you know what? Later on in the fight, it's going to be a better shot of this dagger. This is an eared dagger. Okay, so it looks a bit like a yetaghan, which I have over there. But if you've seen my previous videos, you know what that kind of looks like. It has two ears at the end of it. You would actually put your thumb in between those two ears to just give you a little bit of extra leverage. And with that dagger, and I'm going to pull a picture up of that dagger, or not maybe that dagger, but a similar dagger on the screen right now. Here it is. All right. If you're noticing, it has a reinforced tip, and that is specifically because it is designed to go into and through mail. This is an anti-armor dagger, and we're actually seeing a lot of this, specifically anti-armor stuff that Aryan has. It's really awesome to see that the showrunners have done their homework. He's not just using like sort of everyday, typical nightly stuff that we see in most fantasy, especially in House of the Dragon. But we're gonna get into that. Well, we're not gonna get into that in this video. But yes, this is an eared dagger, and this, yes, it's specifically designed to go into mail. It's awesome. Anyways, let's keep going. So yes, he is stabbing Dunk. So Dunk was winning in that melee portion where he's just using his bare hands. Okay, let's talk about this. So Dunk is trying to stop Aryan from stabbing him, and so he's grabbing onto the blade itself, which is, yes, that's a historically viable technique. You might think that, oh, why? For what purpose are you like losing your main hand? Well, the reason why you're doing that is to protect yourself. You would rather have this hand be unoperational than be dead. You know, so doing this historically viable. Let's keep going. And Aryan is trying to lift up his helmet and get into his neck and face area. And yes, we just saw Raymond the goat Foss away. Knock Aryan off of Dunk. And yeah, once again, as Matt Easton said, this is to show the randomness of a melee like this. I'm saying a lot, but yeah, this is to show the randomness of this, because it's random. Anything can happen. Let's keep going. Let's get back to the meat and potatoes of this. All right, now this is where we get that beautiful shot of that dagger. I mean, look at that. We're gonna keep this playing. Okay, we didn't get too much of a good angle of that dagger, but hopefully you caught something. It's thin. It's designed to pierce into mail. That's its main purpose. Okay, and what was very interesting, very important actually, let's go back just a little bit. Aryan picks up a sword, and neither Robin Swords nor Matt Easton commented on this. But that sword in particular, let's keep looking at this. Okay? This sword in particular that Aryan has is an S-stock. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, an S-stock is specifically an anti-armor longsword. It has a very, very, very fine, thin point that is designed to pierce into mail. This is an anti-armor sword. It is made for this. And oh my gosh, let's keep going. Let's keep going. This is awesome. You know what? Before that though, I'm gonna post a. I'm gonna show a picture of an S stock right here, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna show a picture of a longsword here as well, so you guys can compare and contrast. Okay, there we go. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so Dunk is struggling. He's looking for a sword. Yes, Arian stabs him. Okay, but it makes sense. It makes sense because he's using an S stock. When he's stabbing him, that is penetrating into his body. Yes, I know, haha, funny. But it's piercing the mail. That's the most important thing. A S stock is specifically designed to do that. So yes, Arian is going to focus more on the thrust. Let's keep going here. All right, Dunk has picked up his sword. He is now fully in the fight. Okay, this scene is very cool. Yes! Okay, if any of you guys have seen Kingdom of Heaven, there is a shot between, or a fight scene between a Muslim Faris and a Balian of Evelyn. Okay, and this is when he's in the desert. It's just a duel between them. The Faris has his sword over his arm here. Now, that in and of itself is like kind of iffy when it comes to historiography, but its purpose was for doing this, doing exactly this. It's a parry and then a grapple. This is a very, very common technique, regardless of if it's in the Ottoman Empire or if it's in the Holy Roman Empire. This is still a viable, reasonable technique that was used. And it's awesome that it's being shown here. In fact, the only way that Arian is realistically able to get out of this is boom, that he starts bashing Dunk with his shield hand, which is free. If they were doing single sword, Arian would essentially be disarmed. He has his sword hand locked, and Dunk has his sword hand free. So Dunk could theoretically capitalize on that, right? But Arian has that shield still on him, and so he's still able to contest that. Yes! Yes! All right, wait. Do 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 do. Yes, I had to do Ched in the then. Because he hit him with an Ottoman slap. He hit him with a full Ottoman slap. And that is martially viable. Okay? A full open palmed slap against a visor, or not a visor, but like a helmet in general, that's going to release a lot of concussive force into the helmet that's going to go straight at you. It's going to be disorienting. It's not going to be a fun time. And he does it. Look what happens to Arian. Let's go back and see the Ottoman slap once again. Let's go back. Let's go back there. Okay. There! He knocks him on the ground. That's how powerful the Ottoman slap was. And it's a completely viable technique. It happened. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right. Yes, we have our Raws here. Great. Let's go back. Okay. Arian gets up. Okay. What we just saw here was I don't know. Arian turned his back, right? And when you hear a lot of people in the martial arts sphere, especially in HEMA, like for example, Cell Sword, Robin Swords, and guys like that say, do not turn your back to the enemy. That's always a good thing. Don't turn your back to the enemy. But one thing that I saw Robin Swords comment on that I disagree with here is this idea that what Arian did was not really for too much of a purpose. You know, he couldn't really do a full hew and cut. Keep in mind, Dunk is in armor. You know, Dunk is wearing greaves. He's wearing what we would call bazubans, but rather bracers, and he's wearing mail armor. He's wearing armor. Robin Swords' complaint was that Arian's cut was not a proper, like, this wasn't going to deal a lot of slashing damage, if we're going by D&D terms. And it's not meant to. This is a bludgeoning attack. In fact, this longsword, I don't even know if it's sharp. And the reason I'm saying this is because, once again, I talked about it being an S-stock, and S-stock is typically sharpened around the tip. That's its main purpose. The rest of it just serves as a tool to get that tip into play. So, in my opinion, Arian did that attack that I'm going to call it a reversal. Okay, it's probably not a reversal, but I'm going to call it that. He did that attack to hit Dunk on the side of his knee. If any of you guys have been hit with anything on the side of the knee, it is not a fun time. In fact, if it's a really bad hit, that could be a crippling blow. You know? So, yeah, it makes sense. I get why he's doing it. And let's actually go back and see what he does afterwards. So he does that. And okay, this is where we get into the combo. I'm gonna let this combo play out, okay? I'm gonna let this combo play out, and then I'm gonna get right back into it. Okay, we're gonna start from there. Boom, 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 boom. This is one of the few shows and movies, or like any kind of media, that I've seen that does false edge strikes. You know? Oh my god, yes! I'm so happy. So what Arian does after he does his funny little, like reversal, is he hits Dunk with a bludgeoning attack, standard, from his right to his left, just like this. He then takes his sword and uses the back edge of his sword to hit Dunk on the helmet, I believe. It was the helmet, if I remember correctly. Yes! And then he follows it up with another true edge cut. That is exactly what you do. A false edge cut leads directly into a true edge cut. So, with Arian just throwing this combo out on Dunk, is it really going to do anything to him in his armor? Not really, but what it does is exactly what it's showing. It's disorienting him. He is being overwhelmed by this flood of blows coming in at him. Okay? Let's keep going. Okay. That was very important. Arian came in with a thrust this time, but Dunk was able to see it, and he used his forearm to block that thrust. Because it was coming in at him, all he had to do was a simple maneuver like this. This is actually very common with rapiers, for example, rapier techniques. When you come in with a stab, the opponent could simply just knock your sword out of the way. Just as simply as that. But yeah, that is a real viable technique. Let's keep going. Okay. That was very important. Right there. Dunk is tired, he's injured, and so he's slow. But he is also known to be extremely strong. He is a very strong, very well-built dude. Alright? His attacks are very crushing towards Arian. He has to properly block against that. And when Arian tries to counterattack, he tries to charge against Dunk, which is, that makes sense. Thing is, he charged against Dunk, but he didn't go low. If you are fighting against a larger opponent, typically, especially if you're smaller, typically what you want to do is you want to go low, kick out their feet, do something like that to get them on the ground. Arian didn't do that, and I attribute this to him being tired. And that's the beauty of this fight. I can attribute some very minor mistakes to the characters being tired because I've done the same thing when I'm tired, when I'm like in tournaments and stuff like this. It's they did their research. They did a wonderful job. Let me keep going. All right, Arian's on the ground. Dunk is hurt. Yes, we see that Dunk is not having a good time here. Okay, that was very cool. What Arian did when Dunk came with a very strong attack downwards, Arian caught it like this. In fact, if you see some of my older videos, I talk about that. We call this the Turkish cut, where we have this and then it translates into a true edge cut. It looks like what Arian did instead. Let me actually go back and see that little bit there. Okay, so in the Turkish cut, this translates directly into a cut across the neck, but they're dealing with armored combatants. That's not going to do anything. So what Arian does is he collects this, puts it back, like he guards it essentially into a how do I describe this? He cocks it back, okay, and then he launches a thrust at Dunk, which Dunk is able to block. He then, of course, does that false edge, true edge reversal at Dunk, and they hit Dunk in the head. He's disoriented. He's not having a good time, and he throws out some thrusts that do go into Dunk's body. It looks like he does about 4 of them. Dunk then has Aryan sword in him, and he keeps it there in order to throw out an attack to Aryan. That's viable. That's a real technique, and actually, that's one of the main issues with rapier combat. Because with rapier combat, if you stick the other guy, well, where's your sword, buddy? It's in the other guy. All he can do is he can hold it, and then he can hit you with his sword. That's a real technique. That this happened. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right, yes. Now we see Dunk is certainly very tired. He has a lot of blood loss. He's not having it. And we start to see Aryan being tired as well. Yes. Now we get to one of the parts which a lot of people don't like. And that is Aryan just threw one of his sword at Dunk. Okay? And a lot of people are like, oh, that's bad. Why would you ever throw your sword at someone? Don't you want to keep it with you at all times? Yes, you do want to have your sword with you, but keep in mind, Aryan is almost entirely armored. He is in plate. Dunk's in mail. He is in plate armor, okay? He is very well protected. And he throws his sword at Dunk, specifically aiming for his leg. Reason why he's aiming at his leg is because if he hits the right area, Dunk will bleed out. We have some major arteries running through our inner thighs that if they get nicked, you run the risk of bleeding out. And that's, I feel like, what Aryan was intentionally trying to do with this sword throw. And is throwing a sword even martially valid? Yeah, it is, 100%. You can throw your sword. It's not recommended, but you can do it. And it can have some very strong effects, Would it go as far as this? I don't know. This is perhaps it's Valyrian steel. Maybe it's sharper, maybe it's lighter, just whatever. Maybe there's some physics at play that allow the sword to do this. I don't know. I don't think it'll do this against mail, which is why this happened at his inner thigh, which is not mailed. It's not protected, right? Anyways, let's keep going. Let's keep going. And Aryan just comes right back and he bonks him in the face with a shield. So for all the people saying that, oh, Aryan just threw away his weapon, he came right back. He just walked him down. He just kept coming. All right? Not only does he, after punching him in the face, take his sword back, he then half swords it. Not my bad. He doesn't half sword it. He mordschlags it into Dunk's eye slit. Now, thankfully for Dunk, it doesn't go all the way. But yes, that is a martially viable technique. That's real. That happens. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Yes, Dunk's not having a good time. Yeah. Okay, and he pushes Aryan off. And we're going to pause right here. This is another thing that a lot of people don't really appreciate. And the fact that Dunk took off his helmet in the middle of a fight. Now, I get it. There's I'm sure there's Hollywood reasons, oh, we want to see what our main character looks like. We want to, experience the world with him. It's more relatable. I get that. I truly do. But there's also another reason for why Dunk took his helmet off. It's because he's uncomfortable. He's wounded. He is having a bad time. Okay? Let me tell you a little story on my end. So, this is at Combat Con last year. Okay? I'm doing this little training session with a buddy of mine, wonderful guy, and I'm going to nickname him as Al-Jalid, which means the torturer in Arabic, because he hits hard. But I'm fighting against this guy, and he's a massive dude. He's, super well built. And I'm scared of that. So I'm running away from him, essentially. I end up twisting my ankle, okay? Once I do that, the thought of me still having to need protection and stuff like that didn't really come across my mind. What I wanted to do was I wanted to sit and I wanted to take off my helmet and I wanted to breathe. And I wanted to just feel some degree of comfort. I see that with Dunk, especially in this situation. He's been stabbed in the stomach by a lance. We didn't get to that part because I'm not doing mounted combat because I don't know mounted combat. So I'm talking about land combat. Anyways, He is wounded. He's not having a good time. So I get it. Is it going to hurt him in the long run? Yes. Yes. Have your helmet on. It is there for your protection. But I understand why he takes it off. Anyways, let's keep going. Okay, wild swings. Once again, he's disoriented. He's blind in one eye. As of right now, he's not doing great. But okay. Oh, I'm gonna keep going. Yes. Yes. Okay. Dunk just unleashes a hail of blows upon Arian, one after another, after another, after another. And Arian is just continually stumbling back and going back and going back and going back until he ends up hitting one of the boundary posts for the lances, for not the lances, for the joust. So that disoriented him a little bit. Dunk takes that opportunity to Mordschlag Arian back in the same place or a similar place to where he himself was Mordschlagged, right? That's awesome. Okay? Now, the reason why Dunk would attack him there is because he noticed there was not a lot of armor there. You know, Arian being hit there is going to hurt him a lot more than if he was to hit him on anywhere where he had plate on him, right? Let's keep going, actually. Let's keep going. And you see, he's on the ground, he's stumbling, he's not having a good time. Alright, here we have Maykar and this. We're gonna cover past that. Okay. And now Dunk and Arian are feeling the effects of blood loss. They're not having a good time. But okay, now we have Dunk getting back up. So he was he passed out, then second wind he got back up. It was like a fighter. Okay. He's up. Very, very cool. Let's see. Arian and Dunk are now back at it again. Arian puts his visor back on because he's smart. He knows that Dunk could just stab him in the face. He doesn't want that. Okay. Alright, a salute, so he has some honor left in him, right? Okay. Yeah, Dunk is doing... He's very tired. That blood loss is hitting him. Okay. Now we get into some really, really fun stuff right here. So, Arian just threw out a attack at Dunk, hitting his gorget. So that's not actually going to cut through anything. It's more so bludgeoning damage, but Dunk, I feel like he's very much in the adrenaline phase of the fight right now. So he's keep on going. He's going to half-sword, not half-sword. Yeah, he's going to grapple Arian by using a half-sword technique onto the ground. We're going to see that right here. Boom! Right onto the ground. He's on top of Arian now. And he is going to keep his sword arm back, and he's going to take away his shield. And what's he going to do? He's going to do that thing that Arian was doing in the beginning of the fight, where he was using that shield to bash at Dunk. Now, Dunk's doing the same thing back. A lot of that kinetic force is being driven into this tiny little rim of the shield. And now Dunk is just pummeling Arian. Okay, he's just pummeling and pummeling and pummeling until Arian eventually yields. So we're going to pause that right there. But wow, this is one of the best fight scenes I have ever seen, and I mean it. I mean it. If you know me personally, you know that I have an issue with a lot of fight scenes. But this, the way that this is done with so much care, so much attention to detail, to show that, you know, fights happen in mud. It's not like, you know, you don't have these glorious fields of like, they're not samurai movies. I love samurai movies, but they aren't samurai movies. This is dingy and gross. You know, these guys, these knights, a lot of them died in mud and blood. It was horrible. And Knights of Seven Kingdoms really shows the brutality of that. I mean, the attacks that were dealt on both sides could be lethal, you know, and it's amazing. They did a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job with this, and I can't praise them enough. This is absolutely amazing. But yeah, now with the end of this video, I want to talk about this. So what I'm wearing here are kaftans that I have made over at my Etsy shop. So if you want to have a nice, historically accurate kaftan of your own, come on over to saracenllc.etsy.com and we'll absolutely make something for you. We do a lot of custom orders as well. You know, we have some pictures of the stuff we do. We're going to show that off right now. But yeah, if you like this video and if you want to see many more like this, which, you know what, this was fun. I want to do many more like this. Uh, then yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and do whatever. Have a good time. All right. You guys have a good rest of your night. All right. See ya.